All right, so I'm going to be reading Meet Viola Desmond. So, on the back, it says, Meet Viola Desmond, entrepreneur and trailblazer for racial equality in Canada. On a rainy November day in 1946, Viola decided that she would not give up her seat in the unofficial white section of a movie theater in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Viola knew she was being asked to move because she was Black. She was jailed, tried, and found guilty of an unfair charge. But Viola and her supporters persisted in their campaign for social justice all the way to Nova Scotia's Supreme Court. It was a cold, rainy day in November 1946. Viola Desmond needed to make a business trip. From her home in Halifax, she had to drive across Nova Scotia to Sydney. It would not be pleasant to drive on such a wet day, but when Viola made up her mind to do something, she did it. I don't want to drive in this awful weather, but I can't disappoint my customers. Viola had grown up in a big family with 10 brothers and sisters. Viola was one of the oldest. Her big sister Helen liked to bake. Viola would make the icing. Little sister Wanda helped too. Wanda, no icing until I finish the cake. Come on, Viola. Just a taste. Viola's father had worked several jobs to support his family, including cutting hair. Maybe that's why Viola had decided to open a hair salon when she grew up. It had been tough for Viola to get started. She had to go to Montreal to attend beauty school. No school in Halifax would train her because she was Black. When Viola came back home, she opened her own hair salon. Soon, she had many customers. Do you really think it suits me? You look wonderful. Your husband won't recognize you. Oh, that Viola. Viola's customers loved visiting her salon because she was smart, caring, and funny. Her customers were Black women who weren't allowed to go to the salons in Halifax that white women used. Viola also made her own hair creams and face powders and started a beauty school to train other hairdressers. I need some more of your face powder. It's the best one I've ever tried. Why, thank you. There are shops in Sydney carrying it now. I'm going there tomorrow. Oh my goodness, when do you sleep? So what I really like about Viola Desmond, that even in the adversity that she was experiencing, not being able to go to school in Halifax, struggling to find a place to start her own business, that she put her mind to it and did it. She did not give up. So, on the way to Sydney, Viola's car began making terrible noises. The town of New Glasgow was just ahead. Viola pulled off the road to find some help. Clink, clunk, bang. Oh no, what's wrong with my car? My car, can you fix it? Sure, but you'll have to wait until I can get a new part. When will that be? Not until tomorrow. Sorry. Oh dear. Well, I guess I'll have to find something to do until then. Then, Viola saw a movie theater nearby. She decided to watch a movie in New Glasgow while she waited for her car. It was a decision that would shape Canada's history. I hardly ever have time to see a movie at home, and I really like Olivia de Havilland. She walked into the theater's main floor and sat down. It felt good to relax in a warm, dry place. Viola snuggled down into her seat. The movie was just about to begin. Suddenly, there was a tap on her shoulder. What do you think? the person who's tapping her shoulder is going to say? Viola had been given a ticket for the balcony. The usher told her to move. Viola didn't want to sit in the balcony. She went back to the ticket seller and asked again for a ticket on the main floor, even though it cost more. Miss, your ticket is for the balcony. You can't sit here, but I can't see the screen very well from up there. I'm sorry, but I'm not allowed to sell downstairs tickets to you people. Well, that's where I want to sit. Please, here's the extra money. The ticket seller refused. She said nothing about the color of Viola's skin, but Viola knew that's what she meant. That made Viola angry. When she went to the movies in Halifax, black people sat wherever they liked, just like white people. Viola marched back to the main floor and sat down. But Viola had hardly sat down before the usher came back. I tried to pay the extra money. I'm going to call the manager. He'll make you move. I'm not causing any trouble. Move yourself to the balcony, or I will have you thrown out. Then the manager came, but Viola stayed in her seat because when she made up her mind to do something, she did it. I don't think you will do that. I'm calling the police. A few minutes later, the manager was back with the police officer. Look, lady, you're making a scene. Time to go. What? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Viola was driven to the jail and put in a cell. A police officer shut the door with a loud clang. Then she turned the key. I can't believe I'm in jail. The way black people are treated is wrong. Some people might have cried. Not Viola. She was bruised and upset, but she pulled on her white gloves. With her back straight, Viola sat down on the bed. She sat there all night long and didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, Viola was taken from her cell straight to a courtroom. The theater manager, ticket seller, usher, and police officer were all there. Viola wasn't told that she could have a lawyer to help her or more time to prepare. She didn't know she could ask questions. I never sold her a main floor ticket. She wouldn't sit in the right place. This woman cheated the government of Nova Scotia of 1 cent of tax. I had to drag her out. I tried to pay the difference in the price I offered, but I was refused. The judge found Viola guilty. She hadn't paid that 1 cent of tax. She was ordered to pay a fine of $26. That would be about $350 today. No one said anything about the color of Viola's skin, but everyone knew that's what this case was really about. As Viola walked out of the courtroom, she was angry. Her car was fixed and waiting for her at the garage, but Viola was too upset to drive to Sydney. She headed home. Some of her friends said she should hire a lawyer and fight. They thought she could help change things for Black Canadians. Racism has been going on for a long time. It's not fair. Black people shouldn't be treated this way. It's got to stop. Forget about it. Others said Viola should pretend the whole thing never happened, even when her husband told her she should accept that Black people would always be treated badly. One of Viola's customers, Carrie Best, ran a newspaper called The Clarion. It was Nova Scotia's first newspaper that was owned by Black people. The Clarion ran articles about what had happened to Viola. More people started to say Viola had been treated unfairly. We'll put it on the front page again. We're getting lots of letters cheering you on. Thanks, Carrie. I appreciate your support. Viola decided to take her case to the top court in Nova Scotia. The Nova Scotia Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NSAACP, agreed to help her. We're with you, Viola. We have to keep fighting for our rights. This time, you're gonna have a lawyer. They collected money to pay for a lawyer. Many people, black and white, gave money to help. Viola was worried about going to court again, but she was determined, and this time she wasn't alone. Her lawyer and Carrie Best were with her, but the judges at the top court would not hear Viola's case. They said she had waited too long to bring it to court. I'm so nervous. I'm sure you're going to win this. You did nothing wrong. I'll do my best for you. Again, no one talked about the color of Viola's skin, but everyone knew that's what this case was still about. One of the judges even hinted that the case wasn't really about that 1-cent tax. He suggested it was about keeping black people apart from white people. Carrie, I just cannot believe we lost. Me too. It took a lot of courage to stand up for our rights. Viola knew she'd been treated badly because she was black. She hadn't won her court case, but the NCAACP kept working for justice. So did others like Carrie Best and the Clarion. A few years later, Viola moved to Montreal, where she took a business course. Then, Viola headed to New York City, where she worked finding jobs for singers and actors. Viola died there in 1965. But that's not the end of Viola's story. And then Viola told the manager, I'm not moving. It took 2 great big men to drag her out. That's not fair. And then what happened? When Viola spent that night in jail, her little sister Wanda had been ashamed. But when Wanda was much older, she felt proud of Viola. Wanda was glad her sister had stood up for black Canadians. Wanda began telling people Viola's story. She talked to children in schools. She spoke at universities. She gave interviews to reporters. When people heard what had happened to Viola, they said, it's not fair. In 2010, Nova Scotia Premier Darrell Dexter apologized to Viola and all the black people in the province. A pardon had been granted for Viola. She said she was not guilty of any crime. He said that she had not been treated fairly. Viola was the first Canadian ever to receive a pardon after she had died. On behalf of the Nova Scotia government, I sincerely apologize to Mrs. Viola Desmond's family and to all African Nova Scotians. When it was announced that Viola was going to be put on Canada's $10 bill, Wanda was so proud. Viola had wanted to make things better and more fair for black Canadians. And she did. Because when Viola made up her mind to do something, she did it. I wish Viola could see how she changed Canada. She'd be very proud.